Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call. Today is January 3rd, 2024. New year, new rules, new game. Everything's a little different now, and we're going to get into that on the call today. If you like the things we discuss on these calls, I hope you will click the subscribe button. We enjoy sharing this information with as many people as possible. Today's going to be a shorter call, largely because we're absolutely inundated with contacts, people interested in establishing trusts, making changes to their trusts, questions about their trusts, and certainly questions about the situation in Iraq, Middle East, and all related matters. I would suggest, if you're calling in for the first time, to go to our call of December 13th, because that is a full call and it does have a detailed description of the Family Asset Protection Trust package that we market. For the time being, we're not going to be marketing the trust package. That's not to say that if you contact us to get our initial no-obligation package, you'll be denied. We will certainly send the information out, but for the time being, given the number of people we're working with right now, we're not officially marketing the trust package, but I'm sure that we will get back in business, or at least business as usual, once we catch up with the logjam that we currently have. First, by way of disclaimer, Trusts Unlimited is not the purveyor of the dinar and these other currencies. We're not advocating either the sale or purchase of these currencies, but as rather substantial currency holders ourselves, we're sharing with you the information we believe to be most relevant. Of course, what's of most interest to dinarians is the window for the reinstitution of the dinar in country, in Iraq. Certainly with the basic banning of the U.S. dollar for use by the citizens in country, this really moves us along, and we can expect big things certainly this year, but I would hope very, very shortly. But I'm going to do this a little differently today. I'm going to discuss all of the reasons why people say this is either not going to happen or it's not going to happen anytime soon. I'm going to tick off the list of things that the naysayers are telling us. Then I'm going to go back and go through them one by one. So for the following reasons, some of the naysayers say we cannot expect a reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar anytime soon. One, the gap and difference between the official rate and the market rate. Two, the substantial money supply of dinar, both in country and globally. Three, Iraq's lack of economic diversification. Four, the fact that they have not established international banking standards. Five, that they have come nowhere near to the collection of the 3-0 provisional notes. Six, that the country is irredeemably corrupt and they cannot proceed with all of this corruption. And four, the fact that for whatever reason, Iraq has declined entry into the BRICS nations. So that's a long list. And there's a kernel of truth in each of these things that are on the list. But I want to respond to each of them. First, again, was the difference or the gap between the official rate and the market rate. Well, that's pretty easily explained. The reason there's a gap is because the official rate, the government rate, is based on trying to ensure that the dinar does not leave the country. Now, certainly a substantial amount of dinar, provisional 3-0 currencies over the last 20 years have left the country, but the government's putting their foot down and they do not want to see the dinar leave the country. So in the private sector market, there's a difference in price. The way I look at it is the fact that the government is trying so desperately to keep the dinar in country, in-house, tells me that there's going to be a change in the exchange rate. Second argument is the one of money supply. Well, the number of dinar out there is based upon the fact that the dinar that exists out there are the provisional 3-0 notes. With the collection of the notes and the deletion of the remaining 3-0 notes out there, that substantially reduces the money supply. A 10,000 dinar note becomes a 10 dinar note. A 25,000 dinar note becomes a 25 dinar note. So that's like a 99% reduction in the money supply right there. Next issue was the economic diversity. Well, as I've discussed on numerous occasions, Iraq, in my opinion, per square mile might be the richest country in the world. The potential for industrial, agricultural, trade, tourism, all of that is incredible. But I believe this is a chicken and the egg argument. On the one hand, you can argue that economic diversity must be accomplished before their currency can be revalued. I would argue the reverse. I would argue that in order to accomplish the economic diversity that they want, they're going to need to have their own currency, and I'll get into that in a little bit more discussion. So I would turn that argument on its head and say that economic diversity is being stalled by the fact that they don't have their own currency. Next issue was internal banking standards. Well, we know that Iraq is making incredible strides in the area of international banking standards. We know that the Central Bank of Europe, the U.S. Treasury, the World Trade Organization, Bank of International Settlements, IMF, they're all working diligently with Iraq to make sure that they accomplish the international banking standards, and they've made great strides there. Next issue, again, I mentioned it earlier, the collection of the 3-0 notes. Well, they've been doing that as well, and the Iraqi citizens know that in order for them to reap the rewards of the HCL, which is the distribution of the profits to the citizens, they're not only going to need to establish a bank account, but they need to deposit the 3-0 provisional notes in order to get the new national currency. So I think the collection of the zeros is just about complete. The next issue was the issue of corruption, and that certainly is an issue. It's an issue in our country, for that matter. But Soudani has done a lot of work, arrested a lot of individuals, instituted substantial fines for people that are violating anything that's affecting the monetary reform policy. Lastly are the BRICS nations. The BRICS nations are a series of nations that are utilizing each of their own currencies as reserve currencies for other members of the BRICS nations. They're also involved in swaps with Iraq. Now, what I mean by that is, in exchange for getting Iraqi dinar, these countries will then exchange their currency for the Iraqi dinar. That way, Iraq has other currencies in addition to the U.S. dollar, and the BRICS nations have the currencies of other nations within the BRICS. But why would they make swaps with the Iraqi dinar at a program rate? For the very simple reason, and this is my opinion here, they not only know that Iraq will be out of the program rate shortly, in my opinion, they have a pretty good idea of what that rate's going to be. It also makes no sense for the BRICS to continually invite Iraq to join the BRICS nations, again, unless they thought that holding the Iraqi dinar as one of their reserve currencies was going to be something that would be profitable for them. So these are all of the reasons why, in my view, the naysayers' arguments are either illegitimate or in the process of being overcome and nullified. Then let's move to some of the recent comments that Soudani made, because in my opinion, they're very unambiguous. First, effective on the 1st of the month, a couple of days ago, the USD is going to be banned for the sundry exchange of goods and services in country, and the U.S. dollar will only be available to the citizens either if they're traveling out of the country or they're purchasing medicine. So those are the only ways that the dollar can actually be used in country by the citizens. Soudani also recently made two other statements. One, he said that 2024 will be a year of great achievement for Iraq. Well, I can't think of anything that would be more important and accomplish more than the change of their exchange rate. He also said that the decline of the USD will greatly benefit the Iraqi citizen. Well, the only thing directly linked to the decline of the USD would be the increased value of the dinar. So the sum total of all of this is, effective on January 1st, banning the U.S. dollar. We're on a glide path to the reinstitution of the dinar. We've reached a point of no return because at this point, Iraq, if they do not reinstate their currency, is going to be a failed state, and this is why. It is true that right now Iraq holds between 115 and 120 billion USD in their reserve, and that's more than they've ever had before. However, they've also got to fund a 3-year budget, and all of the international contracts that they've been signing, not even counting the currency swaps. 115 to 120 billion USD don't come anywhere close to the obligations that they've made, both to the citizens in country and in terms of all of the international contracts that have been consummated. So there are only two options at this point. They reinstate their currency or they default on their budget and all of their international contracts. This is the situation that exists right now. This is why people are still buying dinar. This is why central banks in other countries are happy to do swaps with the Iraqi dinar. This is why the BRICS nations wants Iraq to be involved and be part of the BRICS nations. This is why the Central Bank of the EU, the U.S. Treasury, the World Trade Organization, the Bank of International Settlements, the IMF, the United States, China, Dubai, and all of these individuals are involved on a daily basis, interacting with Iraq in any way that they can. So this is the situation we find ourselves in. This is all very, very good news. I'd like to be able to say this thing's going to pop in January. It could pop in January, but we'll see whether they try to slow roll this thing or whether they just cut to the chase and get this thing done. But either way, 2024 is going to be a very, very good year for all of us. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm not actually marketing our trust today on this call, but I would invite anyone interested in our Family Asset Protection Trust package to contact us. When you review the reasons for establishing a trust package, I think most individuals, particularly people that have currencies, are going to come to the conclusion that they're going to need to proceed. Now, you can contact us in a number of ways. You can go to our website, which is Trusts with an S, Unlimited LLC.com. If you'd like to order our initial no-obligation package, it does contain everything you need if you wish to proceed, but you're under no obligation to do so. You can either contact us by email, which is Trusts with an S, Unlimited LLC at gmail.com, or our phone service, which is 307-274-4122. Contact us either way. We'll be happy to get our initial no obligation package out to you. I'm sorry we won't do a Q&A today. Again, I've got so many people I have to contact. My phone's blowing up. Our emails are blowing up. I wake up in the morning and I got 15 or 20 texts from everywhere. So I'm going to have to get on the phone. If you have contacted us and you haven't heard from us, you will hear from us this week. And as soon as we get off this call, I'm going to be on the phone. In conclusion, all the information is very good. The most important thing that's happened is banning of the U.S. dollar in country for the purchase of sundry goods and services in country. That, to me, is the catalyst for everything that is going to come to fruition, which for all of us is the reinstatement of the Iraqi dinar. So thanks so much for listening to this call. let's hope we all have a very good week. Certainly, if something of a dramatic nature were to happen between now and next week, we'll try to get out an emergency email and schedule an emergency conference call. But failing that, we will be back next week, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Let's cross our fingers, people. Things are moving in the right direction. Have a great week. Bye-bye.